Welcome back to the channel, friends. Here with another monthly portfolio update where I transparently share with you all my numbers, my holdings from stocks, ETFs, and of course my crypto holding, as well as share with you some cashback and interest and dividends that I got for the last months. But before we dive into my actual portfolio, I'm very excited to share with you another portfolio change. That is our family portfolio, which increased now from 3, which is my wife, my little doggy next to me here, and myself, to now 4, as we have been very fortunate enough to welcome our little baby boy into our family, which I'm super excited about. So it increased by 33% our family portfolio size. Really, really exciting times. Maybe it might be a few videos less here and there, depending on how things go. You can even see normally I'm in my black shirt, but I didn't have time to do the laundry because we're just trying to catch up on sleep and managing the little one. But really exciting. I mean, honestly, the best feeling in the world. Hold that precious little human in your hands. It's just unbelievable. It makes up for all the lack of sleep and whatever. So yeah, really exciting times ahead. Obviously, I keep you updated as we go along, but so far so good. As I shared in previous video, the investment schedule for him is already set up, so that's taken care of. And now we look after all the pooping schedule and all the other things that are part of raising a little child. But anyhow, I might leave this for future channel Smart Parenting with Kai. Let's focus on my actual portfolio. Right, and for this, I think the easiest way, because I have different brokers that I use to use a portfolio tracker, and my favorite one is definitely Delta. I've been using them for a long time now and I'm really happy with them. If you want to have a link down in the description below, check them out for yourself. Really, really cool app. And yeah, I mean, you see here how the portfolio has been developing. This is now a month-on-month comparison, and in fact it's the highest that's been basically since I started, right? If I go back to all over here, you can see it's the highest it ever has been. And on a month-to-month comparison, it also really increased a lot, right? Because last month, despite contribution, it was actually lower than the previous months when I made my contribution. So that happens sometimes, right? As your portfolio grows, the level of contributions become less meaningful. It's more the overall portfolio growth that matters. And in my case, obviously, it was nice contributions, plus, of course, organic growth of the portfolio that led to a $20,000 increase month over month in the portfolio, or more than 6.78%. So of course, really happy with those numbers. Of course, it fluctuates, but yeah, it started the month at 309,000. And then obviously due to contributions and portfolio growth, it really stepped up nicely. And we go into the individual positions. We know, of course, the biggest increase comes from my Bitcoin holding because it's still the biggest part of my portfolio. You can see that alone made up $16,000 in gains. So that's obviously really massive because as it fluctuates, that will have a major impact. Now, the cool thing on Delta is you can also add other currencies. So if I click on USD over here, my secondary currency that's set up just for comparison's sakes is euro, and in euros it looks less exciting, right? But that's because we know the exchange rate euro versus dollar is really at a low right now and keeps on dropping. So I'm not too bothered, right? I mostly earn in dollars, I spend in dollars, so for me it doesn't really matter. I still like to check it once in a while, but I know as the dollar will get stronger over time in the future again, that value can quickly change. I mean, in the past we've seen where it almost was close to parity, right? So where euros was dollars. So I'm not too bothered. I'm really looking at dollars because I'm also investing in dollars, right? So there's no point for me to really look at euros, but yeah, still nice to have that feature. So it's really cool. You can click over here at the top, stocks and funds. So that's basically my ETFs and individual holdings. And I remove the crypto position, and then I can only see those gains. And that alone was also really, really nice. You can see at the beginning of the month, I was only in that way at 119, and now I'm at $132,000, right? So really nice gain there as well, which I'm really happy with. And yep, basically you see my individual holdings, my SPY5 position, which is the biggest one right now that I have. Then Amazon, now my second biggest. So that happened as well as I kept on buying more. Now it's actually bigger than my NASDAQ 100 holding, which is only in that case at 15,000, and Google is quickly catching up. I'm pretty sure it will soon also be higher than my NASDAQ holding. I'm not actively buying any more NASDAQ 100 ETF. If any ETF right now, I'll be buying more the S&P 500 just to have a bit more, sort of broader diversification. And otherwise, I really want to double down on those companies that I really see, long-term, even outperformance potentially of the S&P. And right now, for me, these are only 2 companies that I really understand and believe in for the longer term, that are Google and Amazon. I keep on buying them, really excited about them. And obviously, they really perform really well for me. If I go to year to date, you can see that in terms of Amazon, I'm up $644. And in terms of Google, I should have bought that earlier, but already up $2,200. And yeah, so really been performing very well for me. And of course, the other holdings had a little bit longer there as well. So if I go back and include my crypto holding, which I have now 3, But again, mostly it is basically Bitcoin. I do have a little bit of Kronos from crypto.com because I opened an account there, but I don't really actively use it. So eventually I might just sell out of it. And yes, I did go back to Nexo. I'll show you that later. Have now some Nexo holdings sitting over there. I mostly use Nexo to earn interest on my Bitcoin. And you can see year to date, the Bitcoin is up 45K. So really nice growth. The cool thing on Delta, you can quickly just swipe across your different portfolios. Now you can see at the top, it's my eToro holding over here. Then I can swipe to interactive brokers, trading 212. And yes, talking about eToro, I'm super excited to have finally reached the Platinum Plus level. That's basically the penultimate level before Diamond. And you can see, those levels are quite closely to each other, right? Silver, gold, platinum, platinum plus, up to 50K. That seems kind of attainable, but the next level will be at $250,000. That's more than 5 times my current holding. And that depends not on your gains, but on your deposits. So even if my gains one day grow into that amount, it only counts the actual deposits I made into the platform. So at this stage, honestly, it's still so far out. I'm not actively pursuing this anytime soon. And the added benefits I'll be getting at that level is actually very little. Well, it's a nice diamond event once or twice a year, which is cool. But honestly, at this stage, look at all the benefits I'm getting currently. I'm really happy with this. So I really recommend those benefit levels, and I really love eToro for that. And I'm looking forward to some sporting events and so on, which I get now as being a Platinum Plus level. But to be honest, at the next Diamond level, I think it's going to take me a while. So right now, I'm not actively investing much more through eToro. Instead, I'll actually want to balance it off with some of my other brokers. And by the way, guys, if you want to check out eToro for yourself, I managed to get a really cool deal with them, where basically if you use my link down in the description below, depending on the deposits, you can get up to $500 in the form of free assets from them, either in crypto or stocks. Really cool. Obviously, the more you deposit, in this case, more than $10,000, you'll get up to $500. That's a 5%, return on your deposits, which is absolutely awesome. And yeah, you can see here some smaller amounts as well. Of course, make sure your country is listed over here. It mostly right now applies to most of the European countries as well as GCC countries. But yeah, as you can see, my eToro holding over here. So it has definitely caught up to be my second biggest broker holding I have. The biggest one is still Interactive Broker, which I haven't really invested for a long time. But honestly, I've been really getting quite excited about again Interactive Brokers. Now, for example, in the UAE, they allowed AED deposits from your bank straight into Interactive Brokers. And here you get the best exchange rate. So I'll probably make a future video on this. And they also kept on updating the platform. And it starts looking really nice, especially my son's investment plan is also set up on Interactive Brokers. So I'm getting a bit more excited. Yeah, sadly, they do not have, member benefits like I have with eToro, but as a platform, you really can't fault them. I mean, it's the broker of choice for a reason for most people around the world. So I'm really happy with them. So I'll definitely keep on investing more with them in the future again. And trading 212. I always talk about them. I used them a lot in the past. And then obviously I started playing around with other brokers. So last week's buy I actually did on Trading 212. It was really a joy again because it really is one of the easiest apps to navigate and use. If you're a beginner investor, I would highly recommend Trading 212. And if you do want to check them out, use my link down in the description below and you get a free fractional share up to €100. So definitely nothing to lose. Play around with it and I'm sure you're going to like it. Because honestly, the app experience, super slick, super easy. You can see my holdings over here, how developed. They even have now AI analysis tool that can sort of give you feedback on your different holdings that you have. I really like that history button over here, which again, some brokers make it so difficult to see what you actually did, right? So here I see all my buys, deposits, dividends. You can see the dividend I got for my S&P 500 holding over here. So very easy to see. Swipe around to go only to dividends if you want to see all the dividends. So really, really nice. And that's how an app should be, right? Not to overcomplicate with too many things that you don't actually need. Then I also started dabbling around with XTB recently. I'll make a whole video about this in the near future where I'm going to show you how the broker works and so forth, because I really think it is a great option and great broker for quite a few people out there, especially since they also offer commission-free trading, which is very attractive, but more on that very soon. Then, of course, my Ledger holding over here, where I do have most of my cryptocurrency, in this case, Bitcoin, on my hardware wallet, which I always recommend. Don't leave all your money on the exchange. That's highly risky. Take self-custody of your cryptocurrency. Then, as I said, I did move some of my funds back to Nexus. I'm kind of going against my own advice, but of course, it's just a fraction of my total Bitcoin holding. But now that the markets are stronger and overall, I feel quite confident about the platform as well. And that's why I moved some funds back into this, where I do have a 1 month fixed term deposit set up. And I'm earning over here 4.5% interest, which basically pays me over $5 every single day, which is pretty sweet, which in a month comes to around $150 in interest. And lastly, my crypto.com holding. But again, I don't really use it or look after it. I'm just waiting for it to unstake. I think there's a 1-year staking period. I just wanted to play around with that. But honestly, so far, while they promise a lot of benefits, overall, you pay so much in fees, which, doesn't really get me too excited to use the platform. I like the benefits they offer, the airport lounge access and so forth. But overall, yeah, the fees for me are just a no-go. Right, so that's the portfolio. In terms of cashback for last month, I got $69, which is not too bad, right? And that came from 3 sources. One was from a Revolut card, where I'm currently on the metal plan. So now the cashback is a little bit less at 0.8%. And I do use it with my Revolut Pro card. So yeah, basically I got 21 euros from that, from all the transactions I did with that card. And in addition, I use my UAE bank account and card with my WIO personal bank and WIO business bank, where I now also get cashback 2% on all my business transactions, which is really cool. So that in total came to $69. In terms of dividends for last month, in total I got $220. That's basically my quarterly dividends that I get from my S&P 500 holding. So again, not life-changing money, but it's a nice little addition. And as I grow that portfolio over time, that will become a larger amount. But again, right now it's around 1%, give or take, the overall dividend that you get from S&P 500 holding. So even if I had 1 million sitting in S&P 500 one day, right, 1% of that is still only $10,000, right? It's not bad, but if you account for US withholding tax, or maybe if you live somewhere where it's highly taxed, the dividends as well, you might end up with, I don't know, $6,000, $7,000, dollars or euro, whatever your currency is, which if you break it down on a monthly basis, again, it's nice, but out of a 1 million portfolio, I think you could really, if you really wanted to focus on dividends, there are better ways to go about it. I really see it as a nice, cash injection that I get as a little bonus, but I don't really bank on living off that in the future. And lastly, in the form of interest, I got $242 for last month. Obviously, a fraction of that came from my Nexo hold I just showed you before, a little bit from my Revolut US dollar savings account, where you can see I get right now 3.97% on my holdings over here. And then the biggest part, once again, comes from my UAE bank account, WIO personal and WIO business, which I previously also didn't get any interest on. So my WIO business holdings, where all my business income basically is sitting, I get now 4%, which is really nice on my dirhams. And on my personal dirhams, which is basically pegged to the dollar, I get 6%. I have no idea how they pay that, but it's basically paid on a monthly basis. And I absolutely love it. It's really nice. And the last part of the interest income was from my Bondora Go and Grow account. You can see over here, my total current value is 11,627 euros. I actually increased it recently, made a few contributions there, and I'll continue to do that because I'm still very bullish on the platform. And here I get 6% interest on my money paid to me, as you can see, every single day. Right now it's €1.85. Not so long ago, it was less than 160. So, it's a small amount, but it still adds up over time and starts compounding in my favor. So that's the total interest I earned so far. So I'm really happy with them. I can only recommend them. I do have a link down in the description below this video, which will give you also a €5 sign-up bonus if you open an account with them. So in total, the passive income for last month was $531. In that way, if you want to see it passively, right? Again, as I always say, not life-changing money, but a nice little cash injection, which I can then use to redeploy and invest into more stocks that I'm mostly buying right now. I'm not actively buying any more cryptocurrency, but I'm mostly buying right now either Amazon or Google. These are my 2 buys of choice right now. And again, I monitor the situation, right? If I feel they get too expensive or appreciate too much in value, then I'm happy as an investor that I do have the money, but then maybe I find some other buying opportunities. Or if I can't, well, the easiest would be just to continue to dollar cost average into my S&P 500 holding. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. My time is up because I already hear the little one crying downstairs. So I think that's my call to action to go ahead and change those diapers. If you got some value out of this video, do me a favor, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, helps out a lot. Next up, check out this video right here. As always, thanks for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy. See you in the next one. Ciao.